Good morning, friends. Today we are here to, first of all, let's have a class like introductory session today. Basically, what I want to insist is, first of all, we people should be acquainted with the syllabus which you have for this semester. Earlier, I think you would have been completed. I think you would have been dealt with things like taxonomy, embryology, the plant anatomy, XYZ. I personally feel that the curriculum or the subject which we are dealing with in this semester is something to do with the ecology part, and that could be probably the title could be the ecosystem and the biodiversity, the conservation of biodiversity. I think so. Let's first of all let's get familiar with the topics which are involved in this ecology as well as biodiversity part. Okay. When dealing with the things like ecology or biodiversity, one should have the general idea about the things which are involved or assembled in the environment. The core or the main things which can be called as the components of this ecosystem might be they can be broadly classified as physical things or chemical things. Broadly, when you are talking about broad classification, broad sense of classification, in every aspect of ecosystem you can find in that way only. In every aspect. First of all, what I would like to make clear for you is that one should have a clear idea about the ecosystem as a whole, as an entity. First of all, what things will come about and what things probably could be combined to call as an ecosystem. So let's emphasize on that, or let's focus on the things which are involved in the ecosystem. Fine, okay. First of all, I would like to know about the possible and the agreeable definition of ecosystem. First of all, can anybody tell me about? Make me clear about the definition for ecosystem. Anybody? Fine. Okay. Right. In broad sense, when you are being asked by somebody about a general definition, but of course, to best of my knowledge, I can say that no one can define in a brief manner regarding when you come across to talk about the ecosystem as on the whole. You can never have a specific definition. In my whatever could I say, it's my personal view. But something should be technical, no? In that sense, if you come across or if you are being asked by anybody to tell about the definition of ecosystem, in general sense, we can say that probably it could be the Earth's vital units encompassing the entire system of living organisms. Okay. When you're asked by anybody to define about the ecosystem can broadly, as far as if it is generally been defined, you can put in this sense also. It's nothing but the Earth's vital units encompassing the entire system of living organisms, and the living organisms in sense here technically you should use a word called a biotic. I mean biotic. Biota means something to deal with the living organisms. Something to deal with living organisms. And you have also some physical factors. Those are nothing but, it's implied. It's generally called the physical factors which are involved in this ecosystem. They can broadly be called as, the abiotic factors or organisms or non-living things. They are nothing but the non-living things. So basically, ecosystem is nothing but an association. Maybe you can generally call. It's nothing but an association, or it's nothing but an interaction. That is the better word I can use. I think it's interaction. Basically, it's an interaction between the biotic factors as well as the abiotic factors that are existing in this ecosystem. And meanwhile, in this course of interaction, you can find many things. And basically, this interaction between abiotic and abiotic components can better be called as ecosystem. Ecosystem is a very big, very big word. Generally, I can say it's a very big word. Ecosystem as a whole, if you consider the entire globe, what I intend to say is that you can attribute or you can apply this word ecosystem on global scale also. And as a unit you can take a small area wherever you can, maybe on the earth, maybe in water, in oceans, a river, a forest, a grassland, exploited, and anything, anywhere, any part. And if you consider that particular area and that particular system as a unit, so if you take it into consideration, that may be also called as an ecosystem. That you can call it as an ecosystem. Let me give some examples. Like if you take a river or a pond or any water body as a unit, if you take any body containing water, any place containing water, and that particular place is also an ecosystem. Why? Because even in water, not that is not the right term to say that even in water. I should strongly say that. I should emphasize that. If you take water as a unit, maybe it might be a river, a pond, an ocean, or XYZ. And that particular unit, with respect to having water and with some living organisms in water, and the surroundings which have that non-living things in that locality, both together combinedly, and interacting with one another and get benefiting with one another. That abiotic as well as biotic components in that particular unit, they coexist together depending upon one another, and satisfying or sharing. That could be the one of the better word, I think. Sharing of things like food or shelter, XYZ. And those things where they can correctly called as that the total body which you are taken as a unit may be called as an aquatic ecosystem. That can be called as an aquatic ecosystem, and that is different. If you come across with the aquatic ecosystem, and you can classify depending upon the character or the nature or the style of that existing system. You say, for example, if you take a river itself as unit, or a part of the river as a unit, if you consider, then you can call it as a river ecosystem. You can better call it as a river ecosystem. Of course, I think I am not sure that there is a word like river ecosystem. It might be wrong. Basically, when you come across the topic ecosystem, the aquatic part, if you consider as a unit, you can put it in this way, that part of unit which contains water or the living things in that particular area and surrounding that water body, and you can better call that ecosystem as a aquatic ecosystem in general terms. And if you are particular in with academics, that could probably called as a pond ecosystem, because here the ecosystem is operating in a pond where the living things or organisms that are living in this pond, they're making their habitat in that particular pond, and they used to coexist. They should definitely should share or interact with the non-living things which are present in the water or in the surroundings, nearby that pond, nearby that pond. And it's basically the interaction between the living things in that pond, as well as the non-living things which are present in the water body as well as surrounding the water body. That is something to do with the coexistence of both these parts, which are called as biotic components as well as abiotic components, which are involved in this water body. I think that is an example. I think we are discussing. To a greater extent, it's not necessary. There is so much to deal with before talking about this pond ecosystem and all. So, first of all, let's come back. We are dealing with the definition of an ecosystem, and in general terms, if you're asked about the definition of an ecosystem, you can put it in these words. Like, ecosystem is betterly defined as the Earth's vital units encompassing the entire system of living organisms. They are probably or betterly called as biotic components. And the physical factors, they can better be called as abiotic or non-living things, and that make up the environment. So I think it's clear that for all of you, when you're asked about the basic definition of environment, you can betterly call it is nothing but a combination between the biotic and abiotic components in given that in a given area. Okay, or otherwise you can state like this could be the interaction of a community of organisms with their physical environment that constitutes the ecosystem. Am I clear? Otherwise, the above, the earlier. The definition which I have stated, that can also be substituted with the statement like the interaction of a community of organisms with their physical environment that constitutes the ecosystem. So therefore, the connectedness of the ecosystem brings about its categorization on the basis of functions and structure. On the basis of functions and structure. Well, if you come across the functions, what the functions that the ecosystem perform, okay, let us deal with that. Okay, the functions that pertain to activities which are associated with the key components in the ecosystem, while structure is justified by the spatial distribution of the functions. But nothing but the spatial distribution of functions that are essential for the continued operation of the ecosystem. You see, for an ecosystem that should be continuously operated, that should keep on operating. An ecosystem is a never-ending process. It keep on operating. It keeps on operating, and with the help of this association between the abiotic and biotic components. So that should be dynamic. The sense is nothing but that ecosystem is a dynamic one. That is nothing but a dynamic one. Ecosystem is the dynamic thing which you keep on moving, accelerating, the dynamic one. Okay, that is something to say about the ecosystem. Okay, right. When you come across the structure of ecosystem, and if you are asked to describe the structure of ecosystem, you can put it in these following lines. Okay, ecosystem structure and describes the physical features in sense abiotic components only. Okay, the physical features means the abiotic components. These abiotic components and organisms again, that should be the biotic one. Okay, that should be the biotic one. So ecosystem structure and describes the physical features in organisms, that means the biotic ones of an environment. including the distribution of nutrients and other prevailing climatic conditions. Okay, and coming to about these relationships between them, and the relationships between them also will be discussed here when you come across the when you're dealing with the structure of an ecosystem. So that is something to do with the structure of an ecosystem in simple terms. And if you want to make it further simpler, okay, we have some other definition also. In the simplest definition possible, ecosystem structure is the network of interactions between components, that is biotic and abiotic of the system. Okay, in the simplest definition possible, ecosystem structure is the network of interactions between components. They're nothing but the biotic and abiotic of the system. Okay. Oh well, now we are coming to an important thing, that is nothing but the components. What are the basic components that are involved in the ecosystem? We should be very much clear about the components, because ecosystem is, on a global scale you can apply, on a average scale you can apply, medium scale you can apply, and a local scale you can apply. So you can apply this word ecosystem on various scales. So definitely one should be very much clear with respect to the components that are involved in various ecosystems that are operated on a global scale or on a local scale. Okay. Now we are dealing with the components in a general. We'll take it in a general way. I'm not going in detail about a global scale or a local scale, nothing like that. First of all, let us know what are the bloody components, or what are the components which are involved in the ecosystem. Okay, right. Talking about the components of an ecosystem, right? The ecosystem is largely divided into two functional components. One is abiotic and other one is the biotic components. Okay, right? Abiotic components. Let us make it very simple. When we are talking about abiotic components, the abiotic component of the ecosystem refers to the physical environment or the non-living factors or non-living factors. The abiotic component of the ecosystem refers to the physical environment or the non-living factors. Examples, if you are supposed to quote for the abiotic components, that can comprise, can anybody say? Can anybody? The examples for abiotic components. What are the abiotic components that comprise the ecosystem? What are that? Tell me. Okay. Abiotic factors that comprise the ecosystem are nothing but the soil, the atmosphere, the solar radiation. Solar radiation means technically that can also be called as insolation. Okay, right. Next to solar radiation and insolation is the water. So soil, atmosphere, solar radiation or insolation, and water. These things, they make the abiotic components. And these abiotic factors greatly determine the functions, the distribution, the structure, behavior, and interrelationship of organisms in a habitat. Without the biotic component, organisms cannot live or survive. Okay, fine. Now let's discuss about the essential elements which are involved in this abiotic component, right? Okay. Some of the most essential elements for food production and survival for both animals and plants like water and air are abiotic components. Fine. The abiotic component is further divided into two, that is the climatic factors and adiabatic factors. Okay. The climatic factors, we are very much acquainted with the climatic factors. That means what? The rainfall, XYZ. The adipic factors. Coming to adipic factors, and one more thing is also there. I think you might have been heard about the word topography. Topographic factors are also there. But now we should deal with the adipic factors. What are the adipic factors? Adipic is nothing but the soil. It's nothing but the soil. Okay, fine. Okay, right. Climatic factors. When you come across the climatic factors, we include the elements like rain, light, temperature, humidity, wind, and air. And it's very much implied that adipic factors are nothing but the elements such as minerals, soil, the topography, and the pH which is involved. Just to mention a few of them, you can put all these things under the adipic factors. Okay, right. That is something to discuss about the abiotic factors. I would like to emphasize that the abiotic factors means if you take any ecosystem, the non-living things which are surrounding, which are in living, which are present in the surroundings of this abiotic components, they can better be called as abiotic components. Now we are dealing with the biotic components. Right? First of all, let us have a definition about the biotic components. Biotic components means already we know very well that the living organisms better be called as biotic components, and now we are doing biotic components. Let us go in detail about the biotic components. Okay, the biotic components of the ecosystems are the living organisms, including animals, plants, and microorganisms. Microorganisms means nothing but fungi and the bacteria. The biotic components are further categorized into three based on their functions in the ecosystem, like producers, consumers, and decomposers. I once again repeat that the biotic components are further categorized into three based on their functions in the ecosystem as the producers, the consumers, and decomposers. So let us have a brief look about the producers. When you come across the producers, it's a general thing. Produce means nothing but the producers means which produce what production. Nothing but the food production. If you take environment or if you take ecosystem on a global scale, you can generally say that the cultivated areas you find these cultivated areas you find grass, XYZ. I'm telling like examples only. You better take them like examples only. Or if you consider an ecosystem, in this ecosystem, all green plants, not only grasses, all green plants will be considered as producers because they help in production of carbohydrates, nothing but the glucose. And these glucose or carbohydrates which are produced by these green plants will be a source for the life on this planet. It's a very big word I'm using. Okay, the green plants which are present on the earth, they form the source for the life on the earth. In the form of producers, because they produce that required food materials for the other dependents since already the biotic components are classified into three groups where we very well know the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. So when producers are the things which produce food materials for the other organisms which are present in the other levels in this ecosystem. So producers are also known as autotrophs. They are generally green plants with the chlorophyll, which gives them the ability to use solar energy to manufacture their own food materials. And of course, you better know that the process by which the green plants prepare their own food materials. It is nothing but the photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process where the green plants will prepare their own food materials by utilizing the solar energy, the water, the carbon dioxide, XYZ, and converting them all these things into carbohydrates, which is nothing but the glucose, the galactose, the mannose, rannose, etc. Nothing but a monosaccharide. All these things will take place in presence of the sunlight as well as the green colored pigment called as chlorophyll. It's called as chlorophyll. So the green glands, they are the ultimate producers on this earth. They forms the basis for other I should say, other living organisms, other living organisms. So that is something about the producers. I think it's clear about the producers and their role. Okay, now we are coming. Now we are when talking about the consumers. It can better be put in these lines. The consumers are one which are present in the second level. Since they lack chlorophyll. If you imagine if these are the second level people, they have chlorophyll. They can trap the solar energy. They can use this water. They can use the carbon dioxide, and they can prepare food on their own. But the organisms or components which are present in the second level of this ecosystem, they are lacking with this chlorophyll part. They are lacking with the chlorophyll component. So ultimately, they should depend upon the food materials. On some other things like producers. So when coming about the consumers, since they lack chlorophyll, they should depend upon producers for their food. And these consumers are also known as heterotrophs. Consumers are traditionally grouped into primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers, and quaternary consumers. So first of all, let us deal with the primary consumers. These primary consumers are also referred to as first order consumers or herbivores. They are nothing but the animal species under this category primarily feeds on plants or primary producers. The better examples includes zebras, goats, cattle, rabbits, the grasshoppers, deer, etc. All these things put together, they can be studied under the heading called as primary consumers. Now, if you come across the secondary consumers, and here you find species under this category like rats, foxes, etc. These things you can put under the category as secondary consumers. And while discussing about the tertiary consumers, these tertiary consumers are the third order consumers. They are also called as large carnivores. Large carnivores are they are grouped under the tertiary consumers because they feed on the secondary consumers. And the better examples are the wolves, owls, and the snakes. Now coming to the quaternary consumers. These are the last order consumers, and they are considered the largest carnivores. They feed on the primary, secondary, as well as the tertiary consumers, and are not eaten by any other animals. Okay, I think it should be very much clear that these quaternary consumers, there is nobody to eat these things. There are no living organisms which are dependent upon these quaternary consumers for their food materials. They are not eaten by anybody for their food. They feed on primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers is available, and they are not eaten by any other animals. They are animals with little or without natural enemies. Okay, the very good statement here. Please note it down. The quaternary consumers, they are the animals with little or without natural enemies. Examples are again the classical examples we have here. They are nothing but the tigers, cheetahs, lions, hawks, polar bears, alligators, sharks, etc. If you observe here, you can see various animals being discussed here, and they are all depending upon where the ecosystem, the various ecosystems. The sharks and alligators, we come across them in the aquatic ecosystems. The polar bears or hawks or something, they can be seen in various terrestrial ecosystems, the forest ecosystems, XYZ, like that. Okay, that is something about the quaternary consumers. Okay, now let us discuss about the reducers or the decomposers. The reducers, they are also known as detrivores. Such as worms, dung flies, vultures, and crabs. They are responsible for breaking down the dead organic matter. Decomposers, also known as saprotrophs. They are also called as saprotrophs. They are the fungi, the bacteria, which finish the process by further breakdown and dead remains of plants and animals into simple nutrients through decomposition, biodegradation, etc. Okay, the nutrients, I mean the byproducts of the dead organic materials, are then used by producers, resulting in cyclic exchange of materials in the ecosystem. Okay, right. Now let us deal with the examples of an ecosystem tomorrow in the next class. Okay, fine. Right. Thank you. Let's continue in the next class tomorrow. Right.